Good afternoon, everyone. The farmers' strike protest continues in Europe, dumping grain on the roads. Brussels pulls back on fertilizer pesticide laws, a win for the farmers. U.S. vulnerability to raw materials, stark. Diesel's rising, mean everything you buy is rising. Where's the cheapest McDonald's cheeseburger on the planet? Well, look. Cattle herd shrinks to lowest in 1951 in the U.S. Speaking of fats, 400 calories of oil, 400 calories of chicken, 400 calories of veggies, 400 calories of communism. Zero. And starting you off with a little humor here, but reality, truth, disguised as humor, because when we look at the different calorific differences of oils or animal fats, vegetables, nuts, etc., or you have zero food in your belly because of policies, this really does sum it up. And since we are delving into a world of substandard mismanagement, Keynesian economics rules the world. In case of unemployment, break the glass and then sweep up the broken glass. And hopefully somebody gives you food, or else you'll have an empty belly. Now, these farmer protests over in Europe are still ongoing and getting more ferocious by the day, more all-encompassing, and even the ones in France that had been solved are back on again. They made it seem like, oh, it's all done in France. Nope, right back on. But Brussels did give in and withdrew plans to reduce pesticides. There was also fertilizers included in that, nitrogen fertilizers, across Europe. But again, the whole thing was, you even consider 1/5 of 1/8 of 1% putting those tariffs back on, and we're going to come out again. So I think they're trying to let off steam because it's starting to get more intense now out in Eastern Europe. So the Polish farmers are drawing the news coverage right now. What they're starting to do is pour Ukrainian grain all over the roads. Now imagine, tires is one thing, ripping up the roads is another, like they did in France. Straw bales, sewage in the supermarkets, whatever. But dumping hundreds of thousands of tons of grain across the road, that's a little innovative there. It's going to be difficult to clean that out. But who knows? Microgreens for everybody. We got free wheatgrass everywhere. Awesome. They're giving you superfoods. You just don't know that's a superfood right there. Scoop it up, sprout it out. Healthy foods for free. They're doing this on the border protests, and it seems to be spreading. This seems to work. Again, once they find a secret sauce that works, it's so simple to implement that anybody can do it. And that, again, is one of the things that scares those in the ivory towers, is this simplicity. Food drives nations. Lack of food collapses nations. Super simple formula. They figured it out. Again, the blockades are on for food into supermarkets. And of course, Ukrainian mayor is going to accuse Polish farmers of being pro-Russian provocateurs because they demand an end to the never-ending flood of Ukrainian grain below market value that then drives down their bidding price. And of course, the producers are like, take it or leave it. And then they have to almost match below market value Ukrainian grain prices even to sell their local grains. And they're having a difficult time paying back some of their loans and even keeping their farms open. It's just costing too much and they're not making enough money. Hence, the strikes and blockades. The Fed took the punch bowl away from the party again. The stock market's been betting on March rate cuts, but not so fast. Is this why JP Morgan and UBS are calling for a 23% drop in the S&P? The recession indicator's ringing its most severe alarm in 40 years. Call the proud Americans, the Patriot Gold Group today before it's too late. Mention the Adapt 2030 channel. You're going to get some great in-class service. Also, Patriot Gold Group has a no fee for life IRA where your IRA or 401k can be in physical gold or silver. No fee for life IRA on qualifying rollovers. Give them a call, 888-546-7020. And now on with the video. Keep in mind, this is going on everywhere, but a lot of European media does not want to touch it with a 10-foot pole because what does it show? Once humanity unites around a single action point, then you realize people are more powerful than the leadership above them. They work for us. Don't let them forget it. So we're back to empty shelves in France again. A new list of demands is now underway to remove the border taxes and the new EU regulations that are slated to begin, I think, on March 1st, and also include coffee imports from Africa and other agricultural products, cocoa, etc., in addition to what they need to operate their farms. So we're back at it, round 2 again, the blockades, because they had already successfully taken food out of the cities. Then it only took a smidgen of effort to block roads again, and then whatever was left in the supermarkets, people figured it out. There's a run on food right now. And this kind of sums it up best. I know it's an AI photo, but this is pretty much what, if you were going to take a snapshot of how really large these protests are in comparison to what the general media out there is showing you, this is the level it's at. The blockade of the roads, the just full domination of these farmers over any types of forces that would try to stop them from doing this. So, underhanded tricks, name of the day. What we have now is somebody paying provocateurs to now start fires on farms. And you can only guess who the funding would be coming from. And then they're writing on the wall, stop the blockades or everything will burn. Well, I guess you're getting the best of both worlds anyway. It seems like the blockades are already making citizens angry enough to either dial politicians, write to them, or whatever they're doing. There's a huge tidal wave of messaging going through that they're listening to. But the second thing here, now if you're going to burn the farms after the farmers, then you're just going to get into this spiral loop of destruction meets blockade equals more destruction and more blockades. So whoever's funding this is doing it on purpose to cause even more chaos, not to send a message to stop. It's to further the chaos and bring it up like a 10x. And speaking of bringing it up a notch, I had said this a couple of weeks ago. Eventually, they're going to rely on private forces to come in because anything involved in NATO, they're not going to switch countries because that would be a no-no for NATO forces to move from one area of Europe into another to quell a protest, which would inflame the protest. Even school kids would walk out at that point. So the EU paramilitary force, Eurogendarfor, sent to Spain. You knew this was going to happen. You absolutely knew it was. Now there's private enforcement in there. And who's paying for all this is the question. Who's paying for the provocateurs in Germany? Who's paying for the private police forces coming into Spain? Because it looks like there's going to be a no tolerance policy from this point forward. Now looking at these medals here, I have never seen anything like this before. They're talking about zero tolerance metals and parts, which brings me on to the vulnerability of U.S. metals supplies and those parts we could make. So at the very bottom there, you're going to see every single type of metal that we use in industry here in the United States, well, across the world. You got the aluminums, the berylliums, the molybdenums, the galeniums, etc. Rare earth minerals are included here. And where you see red, that is controlled by Russia and China on the supply to the global market. Where you see blue, this is U.S. production. So I look at this and I say, I wonder if we would have a problem if either of those two nations said no more metals for you if we were to get an embargo across the Western world, the Five Eyes embargo. Just asking a question here because, that would be almost instantaneous if they cut off the metals and also said, you know what, we're not going to even send you imports anymore. Then what kind of world would that be? It would be very similar to what the farmers are doing in Europe, but it would be on a same but different export and raw material basis versus being food and removal of taxes. So if we can look at it in a little bit different way, you got global West, global East, global South. So you can break it off into the different regions and alliances across the world here. And it shows you the percentage of the world's supply in just a different format of who owns it, who controls it, and who has the lion's share of production. And if they would choose to turn off the spigot, even with all the blue, which is, let's say, Western Five Eyes would be the global West. We'll leave all the blue production. Even if they used 100% of our own production, we would have not even remotely close to enough to continue to make machinery parts, even just the basic rudimentary repair parts that would need for farm machinery based on this chart alone. This is very scary. Also, as always, things are going up in price, and here we go again. Diesel's rising in price. In terms of crude oil itself, and really the takeaway from the chart is, as these prices go up, your delivery prices go up, and those costs are passed on to you. So look for higher prices coming in. Pretty much everything you buy, again, there's going to be an upswing in inflation through the rest of the year. War kicking off again, a lot of shipping channels shut down, etc. And then here we go with diesel price up. But is there a silver lining in the cheeseburger cloud? I don't know. Here's where the cheapest McDonald's cheeseburgers are on the planet. Russia, of all places. I thought they were sanctioned to smithereens, but here they got the cheapest cheeseburgers in the world, from McDonald's at least. Then we got Japan coming in at $1.33. And the U.S., $4.69. Wait, it came from here. How could it be cheaper in another country, like 4 times less price, or almost 5 times less price in the country we're sanctioning than it is here at home? Wait, I see a disconnect. This is a disconnect slide right here. I hope you see it too. And there's also been a switching of brands, 2022. Gee, I wonder what would have caused that. The U.S. cattle herd, speaking of beef, shrank to the lowest levels in 7 decades. Ranchers continue to send the cows off. Not enough water, too expensive to keep, and 73-year lows for beef in America right now. So if you look at the chart going back into the 1951 is the level we're at right now. Now we've scraped near that around 2015 also. So it's not like a super wow moment where it would have been in the 1970s, dropping that far down. As you can see, it's been sort of a downward trajectory anyway with all the narratives and messaging out there, eat less beef, eat less meat. And you can see so many things are evolving around food and water. Maybe the EU farmers had a crystal ball and they're looking out into the future and seeing where we're going, and they're just trying to stop it. Maybe we should all really look with a microscope as what's happening there. Is it going to swing the pendulum over into our own nations directly after it's finished there? Is it going to be a copy paste, repeat over in the rest of the world? And maybe they're signaling to us that we should look there because it's coming to a neighborhood near you. But don't worry, you are here. The vastness of the universe, the resources of our galaxy are immeasurable. Yet we sit here on a little planet saying there's not enough resource, but perhaps we're not thinking about creating resources or utilizing energies in the way they should be with this vast power plant that we're looking at here. Generating using magnets. Perhaps we could do that instead of burning. But using the Earth's magnetic field, that means free power. No, we don't want to talk about that. Well, maybe in another video. I do appreciate you watching. If you want to sign up for our show notes, Ransom Godwin and myself every Thursday night, 10 p.m. to midnight. Put your email right in here. We'll send you the show notes, 10 quick bullet points so you can start conversations. Also, the growing season is starting again. Spring is here. Think about heirloom and organic seeds, trueleafmarket.com. That link's in the description box below. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time. Bye for now.